Why won't anyone tell me what my pension is going to be? Hey, I am Chuck the Bureaucrat, and today I'm going to walk you through one of the most important and simplest calculations in your retirement planning. At least it should be one of the simplest. And that is, how do you estimate your regular retirement payments? Now, I'm going to try to be a good boy in this video and focus on showing you how to use the tools that are provided by the Department of Defense. But I gotta warn you that I am gonna whine incessantly throughout this video about these little, bonus features that the tools provide that make it almost impossible to understand the results at first glance. In fact, before we get started, I feel compelled to warn you about one major flaw with the whole military retirement system. Nobody is going to give you a straight answer about the exact amount of your post-retirement income. Not only won't they give you the sum of your retired pay and your VA disability payments and your CRDP or CRSC, they won't even give you an estimate. So, as you make your retirement plans, be aware that just like every other military operation, you're going to be operating under the fog of war. Anyways, before I show you the calculator, let's just do a basic summary. When it comes to a regular retirement, there are three factors that are going to matter: your years of service, your rank, and a percentage. And when it comes to your years of service, this number is going to be used at three different points in the calculation, and each time it's going to be used in a slightly different way. In fact, throughout this video, I'm going to avoid talking about a non-regular retirement, what we might call a reserve retirement, specifically because for a regular retirement, that years of service is basically the same number. But for non-regular retirements, that years of service it's calculated differently each time. Anyways, the first way that years of service matters is just to qualify someone for a regular retirement. In most cases, you must have 20 or more years of active duty service to be eligible for this benefit. The second way that years of service applies is in the calculation of your retired pay base. For folks who entered military service after 1980, the retired pay base is calculated as the average monthly base pay they were entitled to for the highest 36 months of pay, regardless of when those months occurred during a person's career. But the fact of the matter is that for most people, the longer they serve, the higher their rank will be, and the higher their base pay will be on the pay table. And then, the third way that your years of service affects your retired pay is that your length of service, including 1/12 of a year for each full month, is multiplied times a percentage to get your retired pay multiplier. For most retirees, this percentage is still 2.5%, but the blended retirement system reduces it to 2%. Then you take your retired pay base times your retired pay multiplier, and that is your pre-tax monthly retired pay. Easy, right? Well, let's go to the official Department of Defense retirement calculators to see how to get an estimate of this. And I just gotta warn you that it is not gonna be as simple as I just made it out to be. First of all, here is the landing page full of all kinds of calculators. You can get to them using this URL, and I'll put the link in the description. And right away, you should notice that there are a lot of calculators, more than anyone could possibly use, and there are actually some calculators here that aren't necessarily useful anymore, like the blended retirement system comparison tool. But what we want for today is the High 3 calculator. Oh, And we're going to need a hypothetical service member, so let's consider the case of a Master Sergeant, an E8, with 22 years of service. To keep things simple, I'm going to assume that he has always been on active duty in the regular Army. Let's give him a birthday of May 19th, 1984. This doesn't actually affect his monthly payments, but the calculator does something weird with this number, and I'll show you when we get there. Let's figure that he entered service on July 1st, 2002, and is going to retire on the 1st of January, 2025. And I'm going to give him a date of rank of March 4th, 2020. Now, the reason that your date of rank matters is because if you were promoted within the 3 years before you retire, it's going to have an effect on that high 36 months of base pay. All right. So now we go to the calculator, and since our Master Sergeant is in the regular Army and will retire from the regular Army, we'll just go with the fact that he is active component and click Get Started. The first question you have to answer is, when was he born? And I gotta warn you, there is a bizarre little foible about this calculator that they want you to enter month and year, but if you try to enter the month first, you get this goofy little red warning. You actually have to enter the year on the right first before you can enter the month. I don't know, it's just strange. Then they want your pay entry basic date. If you don't know what yours is, it appears at the top of your LES under the heading Pay Date. For our Master Sergeant, this is just when he first shipped to basic. But for anybody who has had an unusual career path, their pay entry basic date and their active duty service date, well, those can be different numbers. So if you want to understand more about how they're calculated, watch this video. His current grade is E8. Now, the calculator is going to ask how many years of service, including months, he is going to have when he retires. And this part can be a little frustrating for anyone trying to do what-if analysis on how to time their retirement. The calculator will not let you enter a quantity for years of service that is smaller than the years of service our Master Sergeant would have on the day he entered data into the calculator. This is one of those features that just bugs me. Because if you retired, I don't know, like 3 months ago, and you want to check that the amount that DFAS is paying you is correct, this calculator is not going to help you. But regardless of that, let's pick 22 years and 6 months for our guy and just carry on. Now, this next page of information is designed to create an estimate of your TSP balance at retirement and then forecast withdrawals over your lifespan. The idea here is to help you get a picture of the combined effect of your pension and your retirement savings account. But, to be honest, I think that this muddies the water. When the question is, how much will my monthly pension be? Well, then TSP doesn't really matter. I mean, especially when you consider somebody like our Master Sergeant. He's going to retire when he's 40 years old, and it is going to be decades before he's even able to withdraw from his TSP account. So my recommendation is to set your TSP contribution rate to 0. That way, there isn't going to be any TSP data in your results. And later, if you want to tinker with the TSP, you can bring it back into the calculation. The other thing that I should point out on this page is that question about your life expectancy. Obviously, how long you live isn't going to affect how much they pay you every month, so I typically just leave this one alone. When we get to the results, I'll show you how they use that life expectancy to give you some kind of mildly interesting estimates. But just like the TSP questions, it doesn't have anything to do with your monthly pension estimate. This final set of questions is about career progression, and this is where that issue of date of rank comes in. The calculator assumes that you have been in your current rank for the last 4 years, but you can modify that if it's necessary. Remember, our Master Sergeant was promoted in 2020, so we just leave him as an E8 for all these years. Okay, finally, we get the results, and wonder of wonders, you will not find an estimate of your monthly retired pay anywhere on this page. The closest you can get is if you hover over one of these pink columns, you'll see an estimate of your annual pension. In this case, it's $41,043, and you can do the math to figure out that that's about $3,420 a month. But there's also a lot of garbage here, and I'm going to orient you to it just so you can feel comfortable ignoring it. First, you see that orange bar? That represents the amount of base pay that our Master Sergeant will receive in his last year of service. You can do some crazy scenarios with this tool that show base pay over the career of a service member, but that's generally not very important. Second, notice how the horizontal axis runs from 2024 all the way up to 2069. That is the lifespan of the service member based on the life expectancy question we ignored. Obviously, how long you live doesn't impact how much you get paid every month, but there are two kind of abstract values that can be derived using this lifespan. Those are the total retirement benefit and the present value of the retirement pay. Basically, the first one just adds up all the payments over the Master Sergeant's lifespan, and the second one tries to estimate how much money that total income stream is worth today. Now, you guys know that I like numbers and doing analysis a lot, but I'm always hesitant about taking things this far. I mean, what the f does it mean to our Master Sergeant that the total amount of all his retired pay, if he lives to age 85, totals $3.2 million? And assuming that all the assumptions necessary to make that estimate that the present value of his retirement is $1.3 million, and trust me, those assumptions are not correct. But regardless, how would the Master Sergeant use that information to make any kind of informed decision? I mean, all he really wants to know is, what is my monthly payment gonna be? But if he wants to figure that out, he has to fill in all the assumptions and then do some math on the side. The only real reason that those multi-million-dollar estimates are important is to remind retiring service members that they are in a uniquely powerful financial position, and it pays to take your finances seriously. But at the end of the day, so what? Well, even though I don't think that the Department of Defense calculator is great, I mean, even its authors tap dance around this issue of this is for informational purposes only. Well, I do think that it serves as an important baseline. There are lots of tools out on the internet that help you try to estimate your pension. I mean, even I have spreadsheets to help people do that. But you should always check your analysis against this official calculator. If you're off by 17 cents, who cares? But if you're off by $1,400 a month, maybe you should check your assumptions. And then there is the ever-present question of when is the best time to retire? And ultimately, that is a very personal issue. But if you want to see my thoughts on this, watch this video.